All right, it's time to look at the stories making headlines in Nigerian newspapers. Joining me is public affairs analyst Shojibomi Adibi Bennett. And Adibi, good morning. It's good to have you join me now on Skype.
Good morning, Mike.
And nice to see you. Yeah, nice to see you. And then we also have in the studio the birthday boy Obani Akinwale. Good morning and happy birthday.
I don't know anything about that.
You look birthdays.
I don't know what you mean by that. Thank you, my good morning.
I hope the Malu has not run away.
Interstate lockdown the Malus.
Nice to see you.
Pleasure.
And happy birthday.
Thanks so much.
All right, let's begin with Daily Trust newspaper now. Daily Trust says federal government increases petrol pump price to 133 naira 80 kobo. And you're overburdening citizens, the NLC is saying. And transporters, the Chamber of Commerce differ on this. Revive refineries to save sector. Experts are saying this. All right, I guess this issue would interest my guest when the discussion open up. All right, from there, let's go to the Daily Trust newspaper. Oh, sorry, that's Daily Trust. Daily Trust Nigerians kick as federal government hikes fuel price to 143 litre. All right, that's Daily Trust. Now let's go to Daily Times. Daily Times, on the other hand, says the federal government increases petrol pump price to 143 naira 80 kobo. Senate mulls blocking revenue losses through money laundering, tax evasion. And Umar Agbakuba Falano, Naaba Ezekwesili, Utomi, others float new political movement. And domestic flights resume July the 8th. Okay, that's Daily Times. Now let's go to the Leadership newspaper. Leadership newspaper says concerns over sustainability of Nigeria's polio-free status. Okay, global war against epidemic not over yet. Rotary experts are warning routine immunization must continue, say Senate and Health Minister. Measures in place to curb resurgence. Okay, and U.S. buys up global stock of COVID-19 drug, and Sultan Khan declare 3-day fasting prayer against pandemic, and other headlines all there as it goes on. All right, from the Leadership newspaper, let's go to the National Economy. National Economy says China's demand for sweet crude boosts Nigeria's sales. The PPPRA announces a new petrol pump price of 140 naira to 80 kobo. Okay, that's what the National Economy says. So this could look good for Nigeria's economy. From there, let's go to the Blueprint newspaper. Blueprint says National Assembly executive row deepens over 774,000 jobs. And lawmakers order stoppage, ask Buhari to go to court. Keyamo's posture irritating, rascality. The Senate is saying this, and their conduct shameful, embarrassing. CSO is saying that the civil society organizations and lawmakers' action, legislative rascality. Bayeu is saying that. So opinions here and there from, excuse me, the fallout of the engagement between the National Assembly and the Minister of State for Labor, Festus Keyamo. All right, from the Blueprint, let's go to NewsDirect now. NewsDirect is the last one we're looking at now. Mixed reactions trail hike in petrol pump price of 143 naira 80 kobo per litre. It shows insensitivity on the part of government. That's the Labour is saying this. And price increase will affect manufacturers negatively, as a Manufacturers Association of Nigeria is saying this. Investment in modular refineries will stabilize price. Ipman is also saying that. So they're lending their voices continually on the increase in pump price, or the new fixed rate of pump price. Okay, gentlemen, let's look at this issue now. Nigerians were happy when the federal government decided to reduce the pump price from 145 naira initially to 121 naira, it was, and then it's going back a little back up right now, and Nigerians are kicking. Obani, let me start with you on this. What do you make?
I can always say I don't understand the kind of advisors that are working with this government. It's so unfortunate that a nation whereby the major mode of transportation is road, and just a few days ago, the NCDC rolled out the protocols on how there will be interstate movement and buses will be into 50% full capacity, 50% capacity. Then they talked about the NURTW has come out to say they need to increase the price of the tariff, interstate or internodal, whatever.
Transportation
now,
fares.
that's at 123 naira. Now, federal government has come again with another July wayo to give us a price increase of another 20 naira. I recall vividly when they did that cut to 123, we all applauded it and we felt government is a bit sensitive. But I will tell you sincerely yours that I think it is obvious that the late chief of staff in person of Abba Kyari will begin to understand that the guy works more now. The crop of decision that President Buhari has been taking lately shows something is lacking. There is no connection between those in the corridors of power and the people. Now, how on earth will you implement 7.5 tariffs? You are telling us that people are losing about 34 million jobs. You are telling us that you want to create 774,000 palliative. People cannot go out, yet you want to increase the price of pump price. Immediately they increase from the international market, Nigerian government increases. An astronomical increase. But when there was an astronomical decrease that was supposed to do at 97, they did not. This government is very, very insensitive. There is no doubt about it.
All right. Now, let me bring Shijibumi in here. Shijibumi, the arguments are that before these prices are arrived at, there are experts who look at it, pitch it against the economy, look at all the purchasing power, all of those parities are looked at. That's the assumption. And the point there is that at the end of the day, we also have it at the back of our minds that the government is running low in financial resources. And could this be a way of shoring up some resources for the government to carry out some of the projects you want to carry out?
I don't see it that way. And to be devoid of sentiment, I saw it coming, and I don't think the government has any other option. I don't practice, but my first degree is geology. So I understand a bit of all these things. Now, there are three very important factors that determines the price of crude oil, and unfortunately so, that determines the price of petrol. Unfortunately so, none of those factors are in our hands. Number one is the OPEC price is not in our hands. Number two is refining capacity, which is not in our hands by virtue of our own undoing. Then number three is the fact that, I've talked about refining capacity, I've talked about the OPEC price. Number three now, I'll remember, just keep my mind. But if you want to look at, number three, I just remember the dollar rate, which is partially in our hands, but because we're not doing more of exportation, we're doing more of importation, so dollar increases every time. So those are the three factors. At the end of the day, none of those three factors are in our hands. As of today, the price of petrol, and before I go into that, we were warned. The government said there won't be under recovery again. There won't be what we call subsidy. Call it any name. They've warned us, no subsidy again, no under recovery again. Now, as of today, the price of crude oil is around $42 per barrel. And depending on the price, the rate of dollar you use, maybe the government on which is 380 or the black market which is 450, it tells you that crude oil today, because there are 159 liters in a barrel. So it's very simple to calculate. So a barrel is let's say $40 in the international market, times 380 or times 450. It gives you something within the region of maybe 16,000 or 18,000 per barrel, divided by 159. So per liter is 95 naira if you are using 380. That's crude oil, not refined. And it is 113 naira per liter if you are using 450, black market. So at the end of the day, when you now export, you refine, you bring back, you pay demo rich, the landing cost alone is going to be massive. So the only thing, and I was looking at it, this thing will increase since they're saying every month. So, but the challenge I have is the rate of increment. I would have still believed that it should be between 130 to 135. But going to 140 is just like everything you took away the other time, you've put it back. But the government does not want to subsidize again, so that they can have money to operate in other sectors. So this is what I see.
Okay.
I don't know what the government is doing about Dangote refinery in terms of helping out, so that
all right.
these things can also help.
Okay, Shijibumi, you say you saw it coming. Now, he mentioned the issue of refinery.
Okay.
Now, also on the papers, someone was saying, there was a headline that said, invest in modular refineries and things will be better.
To who?
All right, let's hear your opinion.
First, let me start. And,
I
appreciate my brother for giving us analysis and what have you. But I understand that. I also understand what they call import substitutes, crude substitutes. So the government knows that the price of pump could have gone high in the international market. And I feel the government owes the responsibility to use crude to trade in order to cushion the effect of increase in price on the retail sales. It is possible. We have this crude. So if perhaps the price has gone to 42 and we're having landing costs at 130 or whatever, the government can do that. Now, on the issue of refinery, give refinery to who? The same investors that will go and get loan from the government, and they will not build refineries. Those that have been licensed for over 17 years that are not building it, and the government will go back to also, just like what we have at Discos, they will now go and collect loan again, and they will be asking for palliative again. You are palliating the rich and making the poor to go impoverished. I won't support government as paying money again to the rich in the name of we want to help them to build refineries. License has been issued to people.
Okay.
If they are not willing to do that, we can withdraw the license.
So maybe let's wait for the almighty Dangote refinery.
When will it come? 2022, 2023?
Of course,
and we'll still be in this poverty level?
By next year, things will take shape from what they have said. Thank you very much, Obaniek. Okay, let's begin with the Daily Times newspaper. Daily Times is where we start from. It says, federal government increases petrol pump price to 143 naira 80 kobo. That's what the Daily Times has. From there, let's go to Daily Trust newspaper. Daily Trust says Nigerians kick as federal government hikes fuel price to 143 naira 80 kobo per litre. And you're overburdening citizens. The NLC is telling the government here, and transporters and Chamber of Commerce differ on this. Revive refineries to save sector. Experts are advising there. Okay, from there, let's go to the Leadership newspaper. Concerns over sustainability of Nigeria's polio-free status. Okay, you recall that Nigeria was declared polio-free a few weeks or maybe running into a month ago. Okay, that's the Leadership newspaper. National economy is next now. China's demand for sweet crude boosts Nigeria's sales. The PPPRA announces a new petrol pump price of 140 naira 80 kobo. That's the national economy. Blueprint newspaper is taking another story, and it says that National Assembly and Executive row deepens over 774,000 jobs. Lawmakers order stoppage, ask Buhari to go to court. And Keyamo's posture irritating rascality. That's the Senate is saying that. And their conduct is shameful, embarrassing. The CSOs are saying this. And lawmakers' action, legislative rascality. But yeah, we're saying this. So it's a back and forth thing, and I'd like my guests to talk about this when we resume, when we open up discussion just in a bit. All right, NewsDirect is the last one we're looking at now. Mixed reactions trail hike in petrol pump price of 143 naira 80 kobo per litre. This shows insensitivity on the part of government, and Labour is saying that, and price increase will affect manufacturers negatively. MAN is saying this, and investment in modular refineries will stabilize price. IPMAN, on the other hand, is saying that. Okay, we'll certainly see how these things play out. All right, Ni and Shijibumi, let's go to the story on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. Shijibumi, I'll start with you on this one. It says that National Assembly and Executive row deepens over 774,000 jobs. Now, the row between the lawmakers and the Minister of State for Labour, Festus Keyamo, the videos went viral. as to the agreement or the disagreement, how the modalities is going to be, how it will be implemented. And they were asking, how did you come up with all the committees in the states and all of that? But what do you make of this, Shijibumi?
I just want us to be careful. When I mean us, I just want the government to be careful. I think Festus Keyamo was right. If you are given a responsibility by the president, you must see to it that you take up that responsibility and deliver and execute effectively. Having said that, you must also be very, very careful as a politician, because this is not radicalism. This is not about being an opposing faction or factor to any cause. You are in the same government. He is part of the executive, they are part of the legislature. And in as much as we know that some or the legislature sometimes can want to be excessive in the discharge of their duties, there is a way diplomacy and tact can help you, to circumvent any challenge they bring. Because in my language, there is an adage that says, adete only that means a leper may not be able to, make cheese, to prepare cheese, but he can spill it. So you have to be very, very careful, especially when you face these people. You have to have this EI to be able to, address things that they bring to you. And sometimes when you know that they are bringing things that can provoke, or which may seem to provoke you in a polite, cautious, but very firm way, you still need to let them know that this is how you think this thing is supposed to be, and provide all the information they need. And in there are ways you could have still insisted on a public presentation without being confrontational. That's my take. But I love the fact that he was firm, but I think he took it a notch further beyond where it's supposed to stop.
Okay. Ani, the point there is the National Assembly, by its right and constitution, has an oversight function over what the executive does. And that was what, from the eyes of the National Assembly, that was what they were carrying, that was what they wanted to do, and that was what they were doing. And they wanted details of everything that was going on. And on the other hand, like Chijibumi said, if the president gives, an order, an assignment to a minister, he has to carry it out to the latter. Now, that face-off, was it an avoidable circumstance? What do you think was responsible for that escalation of expressions? Yeah,
I think I want to salute the courage of Mr. Festus Keyamo-san for coming out clear and for standing firm on what he felt was legally right. And again, just like my brother said earlier, I think our National Assembly is biting too much. The responsibility as stated by that section 88 of the Constitution for public hearing is public. And the man is asking, you want a public hearing. You recall vividly, during President Obasanjo's regime, there is nothing called you putting in your constituency project into the national budget through the back door. Or during Jonathan regime, you will see where they are doing backlog, the Ogara Speaker, virtually all the National Assembly members determines what happens in the budget. And the same thing happens in the first time of President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, the National Assembly has now jetted its responsibility in making laws for the country, oversight on the executive. Now they are into determining what projects should be done in what state, determining what will be done in one constituency. And now again, they are now turning themselves to National Directorate of Employment, where they determine what modality should be used to employ. I think their powers are not to execute, was to legislate. So perhaps the Labour Minister must have gone beyond his ban. You can provide him a framework for him to work with, or look at his framework and see what is there. But the moment we start seeing online, Senate President form for N-Power, we see the speakers, we see this one, you begin to understand that the National Assembly have now turned themselves to another arm of executive that determines what should be done in the government. No, they don't have that right. And if they don't have any skeleton in their cupboard, using the word of Mr. Festus Keyamo, why are they afraid of public hearing? Why do you want to know how Ministry of Labour wants to work? But again, you won't blame all these things if we have a working national or federated unit. I don't think it's the job of the National Assembly or federal government to determine what kind of work a Bako in Maduguri should do or a Shegun in Ibadan should do. So if we have a constitution whereby the central is not too heavy, you decentralize this into local government level. Mr. Professor Keyamo is committing in state will committee in local government, then they will go up the scale. Why don't we make sure that this employment is handled only by local government officials? Because they are going to work next to them. So the National Assembly is just laboring themselves with what is not important. Rather than focusing on what is important, see what has been done and what has been done wrong and bring it out. Rather than going there and showing emotions. What I saw there last day was they were supposed to be distinguished, but by their shouting spree, by standing up and telling him to walk out, that can never be distinguished. That can never be honorable. And I like the coolness of Mr. Keyamo. Mr. Keyamo said, I said, what have I done? Tell me how I've violated the Constitution. And I think, again,
no, that was when he was told to apologize.
We should not look for political solutions to this kind of issues. These are things that make National Assembly members to start padding budget. Now we are going to be padding job. Very soon, National Assembly members will determine what light should come to your street, whether you should use tungsten bulb or you should use LED bulb. That is not their job. Let them focus on making the Constitution work and let us centralize all this. It is not necessary. And again, I'm begging President Muhammadu Buhari, our president, that they should not employ political solutions. Let the Constitution take its course. Like they have said, Buhari should go and test the case in court. They can also take the Minister for Labour and Productivity to court. There is a National Assembly Management System. They have a legal system in National Assembly Management System. Let them take the Labour Minister to court if he has run foul of the law and let the court interpret the Constitution. They cannot approbate and reprobate. You cannot say this is what the law says and that is final. Whoever is not contempted should go to court. You go there and tell the court to give you such direction. So for me, I'm happy that Mr. Keyamo has come out and he has shown clearly that some people, even when they are in government, they will still continue to be who they are. Either in government, and he has said it that if they decided to go politics, he's willing to leave that job. I love that. That's sincerity.
All right. Okay. Shijibumi, the point there is, Ni is saying that they shouldn't toe the line of politics in solving or resolving these issues. Now, if you look at the nitty-gritty of it, about 774,000 people to be employed in every local government area of this country. If you look at the nitty-gritty of it, about 774,000 people to be employed in every local government area of this country. Certainly, members of the National Assembly, they feel that these are people from my own constituency, because one way or the other, their constituency will be reflected. And they want to see the details, and they want to be carried along as that is being done. But don't you think that is the political side of it, if we have to resolve this issue?
Yes, and you can't really blame them. I always look at issues from both sides. If you have, I think the state that has the least local government has 16 local governments, if I stand to be corrected. That's 16,000 people. And these people, these senators, these House of Rep members are from states. So there is no way they won't want to have their own, it's like dividend of democracy to them. It happens everywhere, but there should not be corruption there. And Professor Keyamo already said they have given them like 15% of the slot. So, but I think the issue now is with, I'm not sure, allegedly, is with the issue of the budget for the program, which should not be tampered, which should be we should be in total control of the NDE and the Minister for State. And if you look at the issue dispassionately, you will see that also Festus Keyamo has not carried the NDE along, which is supposed to be. Let's look at it very well. So because the NDE boss and Festus Keyamo are singing this tunes that are not in alignment. So I believe that political solution can still work. The president also just used political solution to solve the challenges of his own party. If you can recollect, that was just last week. It's not every time that you have to test the law. If you test the law, this is a COVID-19 palliative measure. If you go ahead to test the law By the time you are finished in court, the COVID-19 era will have even gone. This is
So it
supposed to
could
be
take
October,
longer.
November, December.
Okay.
It will take longer. We must look at the 774,000 people. They are supposed to benefit from this. And the National Assembly has called the senior minister, who is in person of Chris Ngige, and I think with maturity and a bit of tact, we can learn from the Fashola example, having faced them many times. This issue will be resolved. People get their jobs, and we move on.
Okay. Adebi Shijibomi Bennett, thank you so much for your time on the program. We appreciate you. Obaniya Kinwale, thank you very much. Thank you. And make sure the birthday groove happens.
The lockdown is affecting the birthday as well.